King Charles recently unlocked a secret royal safe, and what he uncovered left Prince William and Prince Harry visibly shaken. Inside was a confidential letter from Princess Diana, her final wish, kept hidden for decades. What did she ask for? Why was it concealed? And how did it reopen old wounds between her sons? This isn't just another royal tale. It's Diana's voice resurfacing at a moment when the monarchy least expected it. Was this her last message to the world, or a warning that was ignored for far too long? Stick with us until the end, because what you're about to hear could change how you view the royal family forever. But before we continue, we'd love for you to hit the subscribe button if you're enjoying this video. If you just did, we truly appreciate it. Now let's get back to the main content. The revelation that rocked the palace took place behind closed doors. No cameras, no media. Just King Charles, his sons, and the truth he had kept locked away for years. According to sources, in an unusually emotional moment, Charles opened a private safe hidden deep within Clarence's house. Inside wasn't a royal treasure or political document, but something far more personal. A sealed envelope written in Diana's own handwriting. What happened next left William and Harry stunned. As Charles handed over the envelope, he reportedly said only one thing. This was her final request. The room fell silent. Inside was a handwritten letter from Princess Diana, penned just weeks before her tragic death. Neither William nor Harry had ever seen it before. In fact, no one beyond Charles and his closest aide knew it existed until now. The letter revealed a side of Diana's final wishes that had been kept secret. Her true hopes for her son's future, free from royal protocol or pressure. It wasn't about crowns, titles, or duty. It was about freedom, love, and protection. She wanted us to be people first, not just princes, Harry reportedly said after reading it. For William, the moment was deeply emotional. This wasn't just a letter. It was a final message from the mother he lost far too soon, a woman silenced by the very world she sought to change. But the letter didn't just stir emotions, it raised big questions. Why did Charles keep this from them? And what exactly did Diana ask for in those last lines? The answers triggered a wave of family drama and could reshape the future of the monarchy itself. Let's dig deeper. Freedom for her sons. The letter was brief, but it rocked the very core of what the royal family represents. Penned in Diana's unmistakable handwriting just weeks before her tragic death, the message wasn't about money, titles, or settling scores. There was no bitterness, only a mother's final heartfelt plea, urgent, raw, and unforgettable. Let them live without fear. Let them be themselves. She meant William and Harry, her boys, her pride, the reason she endured every cold banquet, every public slight, and every silent tear. Diana feared the palace would turn them into statues, polished, distant, and emotionally shut down. She had witnessed its effects on Charles and generations before him. The monarchy didn't teach its heirs to feel. It taught them to perform. Diana refused to let that fate befall her sons. I don't want them trapped in a life they didn't choose, she wrote. They must be free to love, to feel, and to lead without wearing masks. Radical, emotional, and totally Diana. She knew William would one day bear the heavy crown, while Harry, as the second son, would carry an even heavier burden, the label of spare. She feared duty would shape them more than desire, and that expectations would erode who they really were. This wasn't rebellion. It was protection. Diana had endured what she called the monarchy's emotional void. She begged for warmth and got protocol. She sought support and was met with silence. She became the most photographed woman in the world, yet felt utterly invisible. She didn't want her sons to suffer the same fate. What stunned William and Harry most wasn't just her wish. It was that their father kept it hidden for over 2 decades. The letter was sealed, tucked away inside a private file, buried beneath layers of official documents in Charles's personal safe. Why? Insiders say Charles feared what Diana's words might do, not only to the monarchy's public reputation, but to its delicate internal balance. If Diana's final wish was for her sons to break free from royal constraints, how could the institution endure? Some palace aides say Charles worried it might push Harry even further away and sow doubt in William's mind. Others believe it wasn't about protection at all. It was about power and control. Whatever the truth, the damage is done. The secret is out, and now both brothers face a reality they were denied their entire lives. But for William, the blow was even greater, because Diana didn't just write one letter for both sons. She wrote a second private letter just for him. The words inside brought him to his knees. Now let's turn to the second letter, and the moment William finally broke. In 2004, during a quiet renovation, another letter was discovered, this time hidden inside one of Diana's personal photo albums that had long been tucked away and forgotten. This letter was addressed solely to William. Unlike Diana's more formal public notes, this letter was deeply personal, like a heartfelt conversation between mother and son. When William read it, sources say it completely shattered him. In the letter, Diana warned him about the life he was destined to inherit, the immense pressure, the weight of expectations, and the true cost of wearing the crown. "You will be king one day," she wrote, "but promise me you won't lose the boy inside you." Now a husband, father, and royal figure, William was overwhelmed by the simplicity and honesty of her message. It wasn't about politics or legacy. It was about staying true to himself. Be kind. Be human. Be more than what the crown demands. Those close to William say the letter broke him in ways nothing else ever had. For years he had been balancing the demands of the monarchy, raising a family, and carrying enormous expectations. Yet in just a few pages, his mother reminded him of everything he had struggled to hold on to. Even after her death, Diana was still guiding him. But the letter did more than stir emotions. It raised tough questions. Had William stayed in the royal system out of loyalty or fear? And by contrast, was Harry the one who actually fulfilled Diana's final wish? The rift between the brothers had been widening for years, but this letter made it deeply personal. It all traced back to how Diana chose to raise them. Diana's revolutionary way of mothering. She didn't raise princes. She raised boys. Fast food runs, secret theme park trips, dropping them off at school herself. Tradition didn't matter to her. What mattered was that William and Harry experienced life beyond the palace walls, and people noticed. "She took us on the subway," Harry once said. She wanted them to see the world as it really is. Diana believed the monarchy could and should be human. Future kings needed to truly understand the people they would lead. Empathy wasn't weakness. It was strength. She spent time with the homeless, walked through minefields, held the hands of AIDS patients, and she brought her sons along. She didn't want them locked away behind walls. She wanted them to feel deeply, understand genuinely, and lead with heart. She didn't want kings, a close friend said. She wanted good men. That approach shaped William and Harry in very different ways. William stayed, Harry left. But both carry her values, just expressed differently. Diana's parenting broke every royal convention, but it gave her sons the foundation to be more than just princes. Yet as they grew older, one thing became clear. Their paths were diverging, and Diana's final wish was drawing an invisible line between them. Now, let's get to the fallout, and the question nobody wants to ask. William versus Harry. The letter forced a reckoning, not just with their past, but with each other. William stayed. Harry walked away. But who truly honored Diana's wish? That question now looms over them like a dark cloud. Because if Diana asked for freedom, wasn't Harry the one who really listened? It's complicated. William chose duty, but also stability. He built a family, stayed within the institution, and aimed to change it from within. That doesn't mean William ignored Diana's message, it just means he carried it in his own way. Still, after rereading her words, insiders say William felt torn, conflicted, and even burdened by guilt. One aide described him as emotionally numb for days. Harry, meanwhile, felt validated. The letter voiced everything he had felt, but was never allowed to express. Now the rift between the brothers has only grown deeper. The letter wasn't intended to divide them, it was meant to set them free. But perhaps Diana underestimated one thing. The crown doesn't easily let go of its heirs, and King Charles was caught right in the middle. King Charles's dilemma: legacy versus loyalty. Why did Charles keep Diana's final letter hidden for so long? That question echoes through the palace halls and now around the world. The answer isn't simply betrayal or fear. According to those close to him, it was a dilemma Charles has never fully resolved. On one side was the crown, centuries of tradition, duty, and preserving an image. On the other was Diana, the woman who challenged everything the monarchy represented and the mother of his children. When Diana died, the palace was already in turmoil. Public sympathy overwhelmingly favored her. The monarchy appeared cold and out of touch. Charles, still viewed by many as responsible for her suffering, struggled to regain public trust. Then came that letter, her final plea for freedom, honesty, and emotional truth. Insiders say Charles feared that if the letter became public, it could tear the royal family apart forever. It would raise painful questions. Had they ignored her last wishes? Were her sons being raised contrary to the values she fought for? So he locked the letter away. He believed he was protecting everyone, the monarchy, his sons, and even himself. But silence isn't protection. It's just delaying the reckoning. Now that the truth is out, that decision to hide it looks less like loyalty and more like fear. For William and Harry, it adds another wound. While Charles mourned Diana privately, he effectively erased her final words from public view. Was he trying to protect the legacy or cling to power? That question may never be fully answered. What we do know is this. Diana foresaw all of this. She feared the system wouldn't just change her, it would change her sons. She put that fear into writing long before the world heard her voice. And now, through her words, we see just how deeply she worried about the cold, unfeeling world her boys were set to inherit. From the outside, Buckingham Palace stands as a grand symbol of history, power, and tradition. But for Diana, it felt more like a prison, a place where emotions were unwelcome, and silence was the only way to survive. Long before her death, Diana often spoke privately about what she called the emotional void at the heart of royal life. Beneath the smiles and pomp, she felt a coldness that went far beyond royal protocol. In her personal writings, she warned that this same emotional chill would one day touch her sons. "They'll learn to smile and wave," she wrote, "but who will teach them how to truly feel?" She didn't want William and Harry to grow up reciting scripted lines and giving measured answers. She wanted them to feel safe expressing love, grief, anger, everything the royal system discouraged. She feared they'd grow emotionally distant, isolated, and worst of all, numb. That's why she held tightly to the human moments of motherhood: bedtime hugs, handwritten notes, surprise outings. She wasn't just fighting for their love, she was fighting for their emotional survival. Years later, her fears seem all too real. William has admitted the heavy weight of expectations has been a struggle. Harry has openly discussed years of emotional repression, therapy, and trauma that went unaddressed. The palace may have molded them into flawless public figures, but Diana knew that without emotional honesty, the crown could turn hearts to stone. And that truth led to a moment William will never forget. A regret he's carried since the night she died, one the letter forced back to the surface. I should have said more. For William, losing his mother wasn't a single blow. It came in waves, silent moments, sudden memories, and one phone call that haunts him still. On the night Diana died, William was just 15, staying at Balmoral. She called him briefly, casually. She said she missed him and promised she'd see him soon. He hurried off the phone to get back to playing. Years later, William admitted, "That call stays with me. I should have talked longer. I should have said more." And then came her letter. Reading her final words slammed that memory back into his heart. Her wish that he stay open, never lose his kindness, and always say what he feels. It wasn't just a request. It was a reflection, forcing William to face the hardest part of grief, the words left unspoken. Those close to him say he broke down after reading the letter. He stayed silent for hours, then spent nearly an entire day walking alone through the palace gardens, trying to make sense of it all. Because while the world saw a future king, Diana saw a little boy still in need of his mother. That kind of truth doesn't just hurt, it changes you. But while William processed quietly, Harry's response was very different. For Harry, the letter didn't just explain the past, it validated everything he had done since then, from staying silent to pushing back. Diana's death wasn't just a loss for him, it was a silence he had buried deep. He shut down, locked away his pain for years, burying it beneath royal duties, appearances, and expectations. But now, holding Diana's letter, everything clicked. She had known. She had feared this very path. She had pleaded for a different one. In her letter, she didn't tell him to run, but she urged him to choose, to listen to his heart, protect his peace, and walk away if that was what it took to save his soul. "You don't owe the crown your spirit," she wrote. "You owe yourself happiness." Harry reportedly broke down reading those words. For the first time, he let himself believe that stepping away from the firm wasn't betrayal. It was courage. "She gave me permission," he told a close friend later. That letter became his vindication, his emotional reckoning, the proof that leaving wasn't rebellion, but a return to his mother's truth. But in walking away, he stepped into deeper conflict with William, who chose to stay. Now the brothers faced a crossroads again. Two paths, two choices, but one shared mother and one final dream she hoped they'd never forget. Diana's vision for leadership rooted in kindness. She didn't dream of crowns. She dreamed of compassion. In her last letter, she made it clear. She wanted not powerful kings, but good men. She hoped her sons would lead with empathy, not entitlement, to listen before commanding, to comfort before ruling. She feared the system would teach them to obey without question and lead without heart, and begged them to resist that. "Kindness will be your strength, not status," she wrote. This wasn't just a wish. It was a roadmap for a new kind of royalty, one that serves rather than rules. Today, that dream lives on in both William and Harry, in their mental health advocacy, their charity work, and the way they speak. Not from thrones, but from real experience. Diana's influence continues to shine through every heartfelt interview, every emotional moment, and every genuine act of kindness. Though the monarchy may be draped in gold, Diana believed it should carry something far more valuable: heart. But even as her sons carry pieces of her dream, the big question remains: can they carry it together? Honoring her legacy despite the tension, the distance, and the pain. William and Harry remain connected by one unbreakable thread: their mother's legacy. Diana's letter didn't just reopen old wounds, it reminded them both of something they once shared, a common purpose born not from tradition, but from love. Their paths may have diverged, William inside the institution, Harry outside, but both have tried to live out her values. You see it in their work. William has championed mental health awareness through campaigns like Heads Together, pushing for open conversations about emotional struggles. Harry, forging his own way, co-founded the Archwell Foundation, focusing on healing, compassion, and uplifting storytelling. Two different approaches. One, shared message. As one royal insider put it, they aren't just following in her footsteps, they're walking in her spirit. Still, the question lingers, is this shared mission enough to bring them back together? The answer isn't simple. William believes in duty, upholding the crown his mother feared, but also wants to modernize it, make it more human and connected to the world Diana showed him. Harry, on the other hand, believes honoring Diana means breaking free completely. He stepped away to finally breathe, to ensure his children don't face the same pressures he did. Though both brothers may be working toward the same vision, their different paths have created a divide no letter can heal overnight. Still, the fact that both brothers carry her light in their own ways speaks volumes. Diana's legacy wasn't buried with her. It's alive, evolving, shaping the monarchy from both inside and out. But to truly understand it, you have to look beyond the public image of Diana and into the pages of her private truth. Her public life was a performance, a mask she wore for the cameras, tabloids, and a nation craving a princess. But in her private diary, there was no performance, only honest confession. Those pages, never meant for the world to see, reveal the raw, painful journey of a woman pushed to her limits. She wrote about loneliness, self-doubt, and the creeping fear that she was losing control over her own life. "He hates that they love me more than him," she wrote, referring to Charles and the tension that grew as her popularity soared. She openly chronicled her struggles with bulimia, her silent cries for help, and the deafening quiet that followed every plea. Even in her darkest hours, Diana never stopped fighting for herself and for her sons. "They are the only part of my life that makes sense," she wrote. "I won't let them become shadows." She feared William and Harry would be reduced to royal symbols, distant, image-focused, disconnected from the real world. Looking back, her words were strikingly prophetic. Her diary warned of emotional repression, cold royal traditions, and a future where love would be hidden behind titles. Yet through her honesty, she gave her sons something rare for royalty: permission to be vulnerable. Together with her final letter, her diary delivers a clear message. Protect love over legacy. Protect heart over hierarchy. And now the stage is set. With the truth out in the open, the royal family stands at a pivotal crossroads. This is no longer just a private family matter. It's a test of what the crown truly represents and what it will become. Will they follow the footsteps of kings before them? Or will they embrace the vision Diana set forth? A monarchy led by empathy instead of ego. That's the challenge facing the crown today. Signs of change are already visible. More openness, greater emotional honesty, willingness to talk about grief, mental health, and the human side of leadership. But Diana's letter adds new weight to every choice he makes. Now, every move faces a different kind of scrutiny, not only from the public, but from the enduring shadow of his mother's legacy. For Harry, the letter validated his decisions, but also widened the gap between him and William. Will this shared truth bring them back together? Or has too much been said, and too little forgiven? The palace hasn't commented, and don't expect them to anytime soon. But one thing is clear. Everything has shifted. The Queen is gone, Charles is aging, and a new generation rises under the shadow of a woman who challenged the system and paid the ultimate price. Diana lives on, in the choices her sons make, in the causes they champion, and in the questions they can no longer ignore. The kingdom stands at a crossroads. One path leads to tradition, the other to transformation. and the world is watching. Diana's last wish is no longer a secret, and her words still echo through the halls of power. What's next for William, Harry, and the monarchy? Only time will tell. If this story moved you, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more untold royal stories. Thanks for watching.